In this video, I'm going to show you how I get 30,000 streams on my song Magnified in the first 6 weeks of it being out. We're at about 31,500 streams, and it's been a little bit over 6 weeks, so roughly 30,000 streams in 6 weeks. I'm going to show you the entire ad campaign that I ran for this song. I didn't do any playlisting. I did a couple social media posts, but the entire actual marketing was done with Facebook ads and a little bit of Spotify marquee, but the vast majority is from Facebook ads. And so if you have no idea how this works at a super high level, I want to give you kind of the understanding of it. And I'm going to show you, walk you through how to set up an entire campaign from scratch and comb through all this data so you understand how this stuff works. So yeah, if you've never seen a Spotify Facebook conversion campaign, we send people to a page like this. This is a Feature FM landing page. This has my Facebook pixel installed on it. And people will see my ad, a video of me singing along to the song. They click it, they get taken here. And then when they click one of these buttons, Feature FM sends Facebook a message that a conversion was received. And then that's how Facebook tracks the event. So when people click one of these buttons, it tracks the conversion. On the Feature FM side, in addition to Facebook keeping track of everything, we had about 3,800 conversions here. I'll zoom in a tad so you can see that. 3,800 conversions at 25 cents a conversion. I spent about $951. Going to Feature FM, we can see the breakdown of this data. So we had 5,000 total conversions. You might notice that's a lot more than 3,800. That's actually a good reason. Facebook pixels will be blocked by ad blockers. If someone is using Safari, has an ad blocking extension, the pixel won't be able to communicate it back in a lot of cases, but Feature FM will still count it. So that's one reason we ended up with 5,000. It was actually 4,981 from the Facebook ad. And I also, SMS list, Koji link in bio, email list, and a couple other things. We can see where people went. So Spotify was 3,500 conversions, YouTube 817, Apple Music 588. So this 3,500-ish is what we're going to be counting for when we look at the Spotify data. So inside of Spotify, I need to point out a couple things. This was a waterfall release, so it wasn't just a single. And the reason why I mention that is we're going to be looking at this data. This data is my default for seeing how a campaign's going, and I have this set to the start and end date of the campaign here. So from January 13th up to February 26th. And we notice we have 9,500 listeners, so that's way more than our 3,500 going to Spotify. And there's a few reasons for that, one of which I have 14,000 followers on Spotify, so that's part of it, although from the statistics I saw, only 700 of them listened to the song of my 14,000 followers, so subtract 700 from there. Another one is about 2,000 people listened to the other song that didn't listen to this song. So that gives us a little bit closer. And the other part is algorithmic playlists. So if I go into source of streams for the song, 7% of this 7% of this 18,000, because it's just the last 28 days, is from algorithmic playlists like Release Radar, Discover Weekly, Your Daily Mix, and Radio. You can see here. So Release Radar was decently prominent. And then also I have a This is Andrew Southworth Spotify playlist, Daily Mix, Radio, etc. So that's why there's some big discrepancies. So looking at this data, you can see that the streams per listener is 4.26, which is really good. Usually for a single, I expect it to be 2.5 to 3.5. Makes sense that it's two songs, it's above 4. The save rate is quite nice. It's nearly 40, it's around 40% or so. That's just the number of saves divided by the number of listeners. And the playlist ads is solid. This is normal. Sometimes it's the same as saves, sometimes it's higher than saves, and sometimes it's lower than saves. So that's entirely variable. So that's the stats of the song. And this is kind of what I expect when I run a Facebook ad conversion campaign, sending people to my song on streaming services. But how do you actually run one of these things? Well, I'm going to show you. So this is a conversion campaign here. And if I click on the name of it, it's going to take us inside of it. So here you can see that I'm targeting for a bunch of different targets here. So I have rock and metal bands, pop rock, Imagine Dragons and Friends, alternative rock, Linkin Park, 30 Seconds to Mars. And the reason why we do this is because we want to see how much everything is actually costing. If we just threw everything into one, we'd never know which targets worked well for us. And in this case, everything did really good, except for 30 Seconds to Mars. It did 64 cents. But the rest of them did pretty much equal. And this isn't normal. A lot of times there's a lot more of a spread across your audiences. And so it just happened to be this time they were pretty much all the same. and I turned off 30 Seconds to Mars because it was so bad. It's not worth turning off things like this. It's only 10% or so worse than the other ones. So from this, we can see which ones got the most conversions, Imagine Dragons and Friends. And if we go inside of there, we can see the ad setup. And I tried 5 ads for this. I tried 2 visualizers that I'll show you in a sec. And I tried 3 performance clips. I'll also show you in a sec. At least I'll show you a clip of them. So you can see here, there was actually a much bigger difference in the price across these videos. And this is why I always test a lot of different creatives, because you never know which one's going to work and which one's going to suck. So this visualizer verse 2 did pretty bad. And it's $1.12. And as a result, Facebook automatically just doesn't spend much money on it, right? Like we spent $300 in this audience. They only gave $5 to that video because it was doing so bad. They spent 171 in chorus 1 and 120 in visualizer chorus 1. Because generally they were getting the cheapest. There are some little bit of outliers up here, but these were where the money was. So that's the kind of structure. We're testing a bunch of different things, and we're targeting, or we're running a bunch of different ads. If I back out and go into the campaign, I could show you how you actually set up some of this stuff. So the way we launch this is what's known as an engagement campaign. And the reason is, inside of the engagement objective, we have a conversion campaign. So that's the campaign level. If I flip over into one of these audiences, named it Tier 1/2 Rock/Metal Bands. Tier 1 and 2 is my countries. That's just kind of how I name them. I have this FFM All event, which is a custom conversion setup for Feature FM. You can see how to do that here. I have a video that goes over how to set up custom conversions. And then you just assign that here. Same for iOS 14. Maybe I'll link to a playlist or something up there. So you can learn how to do that if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Then we define the countries that we're targeting. So this is Tier 1, Tier 2. This is kind of an ever-changing list of countries. So it's not super important you target exactly what I'm doing. It's just don't avoid a lot of Asia and Africa. It typically doesn't work very well, in my experience. Ages 18 to 44. This is going to be dependent on your song. In this case, I wanted to have more people go to Apple. So I added Apple Music in addition to Spotify. But often I'll just put Spotify here to not have that happen. And you can see that in the Feature FM stats. We had a good amount of people go to Apple, a little bit higher than normal. In fact, we also had a lot go to YouTube. And often I tell people don't include YouTube on your landing page because it will tend to siphon away a lot of results. But I was happy with that in this case. I have a decent sized audience on Spotify, so I'm kind of in a transition period where I'm trying to like grow on everything a little bit instead of just focusing on Spotify. Like I still want to grow more on Spotify, but I don't want to just grow on Spotify now that I have a kind of a good base. Then I'm targeting a bunch of stuff that made sense for this. So this is kind of all of the rock/metal bands I thought make sense, because this song is what I call electronic rock. It's kind of like electronic music mixed with pop music mixed with rock music. So I wanted to try some rock stuff, some metal stuff, and I wanted to try some electronic, some pop. So that's why this seems a little strange, but it actually worked quite well. And then in this case, I wanted to try just Instagram, just to see how it went. So I went to Instagram Feed, Instagram Explore, Instagram Stories, and Instagram Reels. This is another thing that I'm always kind of testing, and it's ebbs and flows over time, but these Instagram placements have been kind of constant for a while. Often I'll mix in Facebook placements as well, but I wanted to try just Instagram in this one. So if we flip into the ads, let's just go into this chorus one, so we can take a peek at that. This is the video, right? And it's very simple. These take like 5 minutes to make, maybe 10, because I make a bunch of different parts of the song. I just, obviously there's actual sound in the ad. What I do is I just swing out a microphone, change the lights in the room, put on a jacket, and record a lip sync to the song, and then put the studio audio over it. And that's it. So it's super easy. This style of ad won't work for everyone. For example, if you're a producer, you aren't a performer, right? So you can't really do this. And in that case, you might have to utilize like stock footage of kind of things that set the vibe of the song, or you might have to do some kind of artwork animation thing. I normally have bad results with visualizers, but I wanted to try visualizers for this release because a lot of you that are trying to run these ads can't make performance videos because you're not that kind of artist. So this actually went quite well. And I just got this on DistroKid, Vizzy. They have like a video tool. And if you want a discount on DistroKid to distribute your music, I do have a link in the description. But I just use Vizzy. It costs like $9. I got this video and I cut it up into chunks. I use it in the ad. So this actually worked quite well. I was pleasantly surprised that this would actually work so decently. Now for the rest of the ad, what I'm doing in here is put some text in here. The song is called Magnified. So I just wrote alternative electronic rock, and then I put a lyric quote, all your flaws, they will be magnified. Well, all your flaws, they will be magnified. I say it as magnified in the song. So then I put a little emoji of a magnet to give it a little bit more visual flair. Listen to Magnified as the headline. The headline actually doesn't show up on Instagram. I just put it there out of habit or in case I added Facebook later. Listen now, call to action through that feature FM link in there. Making sure to grab the .pfr Facebook thing. And if you have no idea what that is, you see how here it's able to track the visits and clicks to services. By the way, if you want a discount on Feature FM, I also have a link in my description. If you're impressed with all these features. This is one of my favorite things about Feature FM is that it's super easy to like copy a code just for Facebook, throw it in your ad, and now you get analytics you can measure across all your different platforms. So it's super handy. So back in the ad, you just throw that in there. And then you just kind of rinse and repeat, right? You make all your ads, upload them all, and then you start duplicating and targeting different audiences. Now, there can be a good amount of nuance to this. You want to target, like this is just pop rock. And the reason why it's just one thing is because this audience is huge. Whereas in Imagine Dragons and Friends, I had to put a bunch of bands in here just to get 4 to 4.7 million. And then I have alt rock here, and this one's probably going to be fairly large. Yeah, this one's actually huge, 100 million. And the reason why I do that is because you never know what's going to work, right? And so if you have a bunch of small things, you want to kind of combine them so that they can stand up on their own. If they're too small, Facebook just won't spend money in them if there's other bigger things to spend money on. And you can kind of see that if we go back here, they actually did a good job. Like this Imagine Dragons one was way smaller. It was it 5 million or something? This alternative rock one's 100 million, and Facebook still managed to put the money in the places where it got the cheapest cost per conversion for the most part. I mean, all four of these, really every single ad set in here did quite nice. So that is the conversion campaign. So if you want to learn even more about how you can do this, I have a playlist right here for you with a bunch of videos where I've done this in the past, going through each little intricacy of how these campaigns work. And if you prefer a course, I have a course right here that has everything from start to finish in an organized manner that's always updated, access to a community to ask questions, and my ever-changing country placement targeting spreadsheet. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.